All right, so I'm here now to discuss the learning outcomes for this unit. There are 6 learning outcomes for the unit. These are the things that I would like you to be able to do by the end of the session. The first one is to be able to distinguish between private and public mechanisms of land use regulation and conservation. Private mechanisms being those by which you can institute on property that you own, and public land use regulations and methods of conservation being those that are implemented by systems of government, either at the municipal, state, or federal, or level of the United Nations. The second learning outcome is to be able to discuss land-related policies, land use and conservation-related policies through the different lenses of political ideology and the different ethical perspectives that we've talked about in this class. The third outcome is that I want you to know about municipal zoning and be able to read a municipal zoning map. This is super important because someday you may be buying a house, be owning property, be buying a business, or be buying land, and you're going to be able to read that zoning map and know what it is that you are allowed to do on that property and what you are not allowed to do. You may also buy property and try to get it rezoned by your municipal government. That's not necessarily an easy and straightforward process, and being able to understand how to read a municipal zoning code and municipal zoning map will help you in that. Next, I want you to be able to describe different state and federal land use designations or land use classifications. Often these different classifications come with different allowable uses and restrictions on public lands. So some may allow 4-wheeled vehicles like mountain biking and ATVs, while other areas may not. Some allow hunting and fishing, other areas may not. So I want you to be able to know and describe different land use classifications at the federal and state level related to our public lands like national parks and state parks and the U.S. Forest Service. Fifth, I would like you to be able to describe some of the land use policies and conservation programs at the level of the United Nations. Specifically, we will talk about the United Nations Biosphere Reserve Program that protects landscapes of important biodiversity and have other natural features, and we'll also talk about the United Nations World Heritage Program, which protects important cultural landscapes. Last, I want you to be able to decipher the components of some very simple environmental law cases that focus on land. So those are concepts like plaintiff and defendant, the individual or the organization bringing the suit and those being sued or litigated against. We'll be able to summarize some cases, and specifically we're going to talk about land-related cases that are nuisance cases as well as trespass cases, and then we'll also talk about eminent domain takings. Those are 3 different types of common legal cases that arise in the area of land use and property rights.